Welcome back to the RePHIL studio. This is your host, SB Philosopher. This is your weekly Bang Dream podcast, giving you the best up-to-date information on upcoming news and updates to the game and franchise, as well as give you insight from prominent community members sharing their experiences and stories about the series. As always, feel free to check out our website, links in the description below, on how you could support the podcast either by joining the YouTube membership program below or by sending a subscription on Twitch. All Filler Nation members can gain access to the podcast live while it's being recorded in the Anga Academy Discord server. But of course, anyone's welcome to join the Discord if you want to interact with our special guest featured in the podcast, and of course, join a really chill community here. So this episode of the podcast will have some pretty interesting updates in regards to both JPdori and ENdori. So let's get right into these updates before we invite our special guest into the studio very soon. So weekly news corner, let's go. Okay, so before we talk about JPdori, I just want to give you some updates about music-related news. So this week, when you're listening to this podcast, there'll be a live concert, online live stream that you can see, Kasumi and Tai's Stay After School Tour, featuring Kasumi and Tai's voice actresses. And they'll be playing some acoustic versions of pop and party songs. Again, I talked about this last episode as well, but now the event is happening this week, November 17th at 6:30 JST. And I'm also going to be watching this with my server members on Discord as well. I bought the ticket, so if anyone wants to tag along, feel free to join in. We'll definitely love to have you all there and watch some pretty interesting songs. Of course, it's going to be like 1:30 in the morning for me, but it's how it is. As well, speaking of music, Cover Collection Volume 6 is finally out. It's been out for about a week now since by the time you listen to this podcast, but 21 cover songs, 3 covers each from each band. Overall, it's a very solid collection. If you want to hear them and want to hear my opinions as well, I also had watched and listened to all of the songs on my Twitch stream last week, and the VOD should be still there. So if you want to check out my opinions and check out the songs, feel free to do so. So again, big congrats to Bandori on a very successful cover collection once more. So JPdori features as the current event How My Heart Sings, which is a pure pop and party event. It's a live goals event. It's actually been a very long time since we had a pure pop and party event, so a lot of people are quite looking forward to this event when it eventually comes out in ENdori. And the current event song, Yuki Limit, is most likely going to be the song featured in Pop and Party's 17th single, Pop and Dream, to be released on January 5th of 2022. In the last episode, I used this fact that the single was coming out and had an unknown song to predict that a Pop and Party full event was coming up very soon. And as a result, I was able to use franchise updates to speculate correctly on what's upcoming. So let's entertain some thoughts here and possibly fill out a roadmap on what could be the next upcoming events for JPdori. So again, this is all speculative. I could be completely wrong, so don't take my word for granted, but this is just based on the information I have found. So first of all, RAISE A SUILEN.We Bandori 2. We already know that's going to be confirmed for mid-December. So that was confirmed in the 4.5 year anniversary Gattaca stream. So we know that it's going to be then. And usually every month there are 3 events in JPdori. Each month will carry 3 events. So this current Pop and Party event is sort of the mid-November event. So there'll be a late November event, an early December event, and then RAISE A SUILEN.We Bandori 2. So there's going to be 2 events in between. I've already talked about before how Full Roselia is well overdue for a new event. The last time they had it was Spector, which was the Bandori 3. So they are well overdue, and that's probably going to be one of them. It could be Christmas. It could be not. We're not too sure, but they're most likely going to have one. The other one's a bit tricky because at this point, it doesn't really make sense to have another full band. The other bands had very recent full band events already, so having another full band is a little bit too close in timing. But also, there hasn't been any new covers revealed by Bushiroad at all. Usually they reveal new covers in these sort of special update YouTube videos, and these covers would act as mixed event songs for, or mixed the event songs for mixed events. Never revealed anything new. They could suddenly have a video and then make an update on that, but what I speculate is that they're actually going to use a song from Cover Collection Volume 6. RAISE A SUILEN covered a song called Departures from Globe. Now, they've performed it many times live in their concerts, but they haven't actually put it in the game yet. And Departures is not really like a new song, right? It wouldn't reveal it as a new song. It's technically a song they already know, but you know, it's just not in the game yet. So what I predict is that there's going to be a mixed event featuring one of the RAISE A SUILEN members, and then we'll use Departures as the event song, and then they'll put that in the game. I think the timing makes sense because Cover Collection is just out. Departures, it has a full version, or like, oh, and where's the game size version? So that's what I predict. So in short, between now, which is the Poppin' Party event, to RAISE A SUILEN Bandori 2, I predict that there's going to be a full Roselia event and a mixed event that features at least one RAISE A SUILEN character. So what do you guys think? I could be completely wrong by the time you listen to this podcast, but what do you guys think? And maybe share your speculations on what the upcoming JPdori timelines are going to be. Let's switch gears to ENdori. Well, ENdori has some interesting updates, as they always do. At the time that you're listening to this podcast, the current event is Red Ignition. It is a challenge live featuring full Afterglow. And it's just about wrapping up. By the time you're listening to this, it might already have been wrapped up. So we're awaiting the next event. And according to the timeline, right, if we're following JPdori's timeline, the next event should be Welcome, Come Pray With Us, which is a New Year's event featuring Arisa and Yukina. Now, there's already people out there complaining that we're getting a New Year's event in November, but again, that's complaining about the symptom, not actually the problem itself. But there is indeed a problem with this particular event that's upcoming. This current event, this next event, this New Year's event, is going to be attached with a Dreamfest that features Kasumi and Tsukushi. Now, according to a community manager, which it's not the direct source from Bushiroad themselves, but this individual does work for Bushiroad. So hearing words from him is almost indicative of what's exactly going to be happening in the game. But he says that there may not be this New Year's event coming up next. And the main reason why is because the Dreamfest gacha requires the 4.10 update. We've talked about the 4.10 update a lot, how it is mandatory for events like One of Us and Title Idol for it to function. And this particular event may also be a victim to this, the fact that they don't have this update ready yet. So there's a good chance that New Year's may not happen next event, and the next event is probably going to be the one after, which is Three-Legged Race, a VS Live featuring Toko and Ran. That's, again, another event possibly on the chopping block, possibly being delayed because of Bushiroad's incompetency to get an update done on time. It's starting to get a little ridiculous. It's starting to get a little ridiculous here. So, you know, I'm inclined to believe that this is probably going to happen, this delay. It seems logical that they wouldn't have a Dreamfest ready because they need the update first. So yeah, it's probably going to be delayed until further notice as well. So that's 4 events being delayed. I might have spoke too soon about being too excited about T50 titles and T300 titles in the previous episode, because with this event being skipped, what happens to those titles, right? Are those also attached to the 4.10 update, or perhaps Three-Legged Race will still have these new titles anyway? I don't know. I can't say. Well, this will be a discussion of topic next week once we know the exact schedule from here. So, what can we expect from ENdori in the future? Well, the community manager also says that hopefully after this debacle, where New Year's event might get postponed as well, after this postponement, there most likely will have some regularity in the schedule. And then once the update, the 4.10 update is out, then the events that have been skipped will be sort of will be made up for, and then they'll have those events happen afterwards so that you can catch up, and then once those events are caught up, then we'll continue the regular schedule as needed. Again, we don't know exactly when this 4.10 update is coming out, so we don't know what if this postponement keeps going for longer, if there's going to be another event in the future that might need this 4.10 update and needs to be skipped, or perhaps it'll be done very soon, and then we'll see one of us in Title Idol and very soon. We don't know. But one of our possible favorite members who happened to join the studio not too long ago sent this estimate, or sort of a speculation of what the schedule is going to look like for ENdori. As you can see, after Red Ignition, he believes it's probably going to be three-legged race as well as Terror Horrible Night, which is a full Roselia event. And it's around December where we hopefully see the 4.10 update, which means we could go back and to the events that we've missed, which include One of Us, the Hello Happy collab event, Title Idol, and then also the New Year's event, which will happen actually on New Year's, which I guess works out. But and then the schedule will continue as normal afterwards. Now, again, this is speculative. We don't know if this is going to be indeed the schedule that's going to happen, because, again, we don't know if the 4.10 update is going to be available by then. But this could be something we can possibly foresee and prepare for. But either way, it's, again, another blow to ENdori's confidence, right? Our confidence for the franchise. Again, another postponement of the event. And they're probably going to be expecting to get a lot of revenue from almost back-to-back Bandori 3s, a collab event, and an event with the Dreamfest, right? They're all pretty much going to go back-to-back at this point. But again, we don't know. They might have lost some trust on some consumers and some customers. Who knows how ENdori's future will look like. But for the time being, we have at least some speculation of, how we could even predict problems to come. And then we'll have to kind of work from here. So we'll see how it goes. But let me know in the comments, guys, what you think about this delay once more on another event that wasn't Bandori 3 or a collab event. Where do you guys think this situation will finally end and we'll finally go back to normal soon? But let me know, guys, what you think about this whole situation. But enough of that discussion. Let's hop onto the studio. On the other side, we have a special guest waiting, and look forward to having a great conversation with her. Want to support the RePHIL studio? Check out our website. Links in the description below. Here you can learn more about the podcast as a whole, as well as complete our feedback form to give comments about how we can improve the project, as well as suggest any future special guests that you would like to see on the studio. You can also learn more about how you could support the podcast by joining the Filler Nation, either through a Twitch subscription or joining the YouTube membership below. Thanks again to the Filler Nation members for your constant support. And a reminder that all Filler Nation members can access the podcast live when they are recording in the Unga Academy Discord server. We hope to see you there. Welcome back to the studio. Let's refill to 99 because we are ready to begin and have our special guest join us in the studio. So I have the pleasure and honor of welcoming Kaia to the studio as a special guest. And Kaia, thank you so much for taking the time to join us in the studio as a special guest. Definitely looking forward to hear a lot from you today.
Thank you for having me. This is so wild.
For sure, for sure. Can you, maybe introduce yourself to our viewers out here who may not be as familiar, with you?
Oh yeah. Oh God, how do I introduce myself? Well, hi, I'm Kaia. I'm a parachu on most platforms. I mean, just Twitter and AO3. And I just do a lot of talking about Bang Dream and RAISE A SUILEN, mostly on Twitter. Kind of fan of parachu. Not sure if y'all know about that. And I'm also a writer of fanfics on AO3.
Oh, great. Well, again, it's a great pleasure having you, Kaya, in the studio.
Thank
And
you.
you mentioned already about your favorite characters and your favorite
Yeah.
bands, right? For those who follow you, I think it's a pretty obvious answer there. But even before you got into Bandori, maybe just briefly talk about how you first heard about the franchise and how you got into the series as a whole.
I got into it when I think it was like I want to say like 2017, that sort of time.
Hmm.
Um, and I was like a hip little teenager.
Hmm.
Um, and well, I just want to say Kaoru brought my little teenagery gay heart into Bandori.
Hmm.
I literally just saw it on the App Store because I was super into like rhythm games at the time. I still am, but I'm like mostly focused on like Bandori.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, tappy anime girl game, whatever. We've been here. You know, Love Life was a thing. Love Life's still a thing. But
Hmm.
I played that just for gameplay purposes at the time. And then I was like, okay, there's another game similar to this I've stumbled across. And I like downloaded it and I don't really care too much about it at first because I'm just like, okay, straight to the gameplay.
Hmm.
And and it's just like seeing like I see all these characters and stuff, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'm slightly intrigued.
Hmm.
And then that's when I started getting into the story and stuff. And I think at the time I was such a hardcore like How to Happy fan
Hmm.
because mostly because of Kaoru because I was like in 2017 I was like 16 at the time or something. Yeah, 16. And just like seeing like Kaoru who is so like openly like flirty with other girls blew my mind. Blew my mind. I had never seen this in like a mainstream like game before and how like
Hmm.
just casual like the sappicness in Bandori is. Like
Hmm.
oh yeah, Kaoru, she's just got these like 30 million fangirls at her school. No biggie. She's just like that. And there
Hmm.
was like other characters similar to that too. And that's like what really like pulled me in. And then I think I just sort of had other interests after that because like I was like really into like the Vocaloid community at
Hmm.
the time. So my interest like shifted more to that. And I engaged with the Vocaloid community for a long time. To put like my other interests on the back because little ADHD brain wants to really focus on one thing at a time.
Hmm.
So like I sort of like didn't open Bandori for like a good while until like I think uh Morphonica got it like added to Bandori. And I was like, oh, new characters, what a surprise. And that was also the time that I found out about the anime and then Razor Sullen happened and I was like, okay, this is where we're and like ever since around like Razor Sullen like character introductions, like when they got added to the anime and announced and everything, that's when I got so like sucked back in and then saw they were just adding like more Phonica too. So I was like, and here we are. That was a rambly match. But
well, it's
that's
it's really interesting that again you were able to get into the franchise through your other connections of rhythm games, and then
mm,
kind of jumping back and forth, until Raise a Suilin just really kind of brought you in to the
oh
franchise
yeah.
for real. So, what aspect about Raise a Suilin and specifically about Patio and Choo Choo that you I guess resonate the most, and why are you, I guess these characters in band are your favorite?
I think okay, this is kind of hmm. Well, we've seen my Twitter threads. We've seen it. We've seen my rambles. I think it's because like With Patio, I definitely see like this is either like me when I was 14, 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's 14 now. Uh, or like this is a character I would have really, really attached to or loved when I was like her age.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Razor Sloan's writing, like right off the bat, was like really good, especially in the game when they rewrote a lot of the anime scenes and they added in a lot of stuff, and it's just made them it's really good. I will. That's another tangent, but focusing more specifically on Pario, yeah, I think it's because like her story is about like growing up in a very similar environment that I did,
Mm-hmm.
like and there's like a lot of like repression, like girl cook sort of behavior going on, like implied
Mm-hmm.
because of this like very conservative environment she's from, like how
Mm-hmm.
she has a very shapeless uniform with like the long skirt and stuff, and has like the quote unquote perfect black hair that's tied up and all pretty and stuff in Kamagawa, and she just gets so like we see how like so like sick of it she gets and how it affects like her mental health and stuff, especially in the manga. Like Jesus Christ, the manga's quite dark.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then seeing how like the main focus in the game now is just how she's like flourishing and recovering and expressing herself. And Pastel Fan Raid. I keep going on about this event of the year. Yuniko Ayana, shout out to her. Mwah, mwah. Great woman. She's a Bandori writer. I want to meet her someday. Great woman. Um, blessed us with Pastel Van Road. And seeing the scene where Perio pre-Raz promises herself, she gets so inspired by like pastel palettes that
Mm-hmm.
she promises herself like one day she's going to be like that and she'll be able to express what she calls her love, which is like, you know, bit gay. And just seeing that in like a game and just like a mainstream anime tappy tappy rhythm game, it's like really cool to say the least. It's really, really cool.
For
And
sure.
yeah, and it's just like just seeing this little kid just being able to like gush about girls and stuff. Like there's this one card episode where Master literally just like this is like Fan Story 1 era. And Master literally just walks into the room and Pario's just like, oh my god, you would not believe like Aya-chan, like look at her legs and stuff like that. And it's just really cringe, but it's really cute. Just seeing like this little baby gay just having the time of her life. And I just think that's the reason why she like I'm such a Pario stanny is because it's just like, yes, baby, get you do your thing. I'm so proud of you. And it's just like seeing a little younger version of myself in that character, which is really cool. And that was a really messy ramble. Most of my rambles are going to be messy,
I
but it's just
definitely
like,
don't mind it, and it definitely shows, just how passionate you are about the franchise,
mm,
Kaya, and also, of course, just how much in depth you've really looked into in terms of
oh
the
god, yeah,
lore that there. Because again, you can, again, we a lot of us think it's sort of like a tappity tap game, but there's a lot of
yeah,
story that gets featured in events that
oh
you've
god,
mentioned
yeah,
before, like Pastel Fan Road. There's like the card stories as well. There's always these little
mm,
bits of story that really help add character to the large
mm,
cast of characters in this game, in this franchise. It's really great to see that. Definitely, there's a lot of people out there who really, really take the time to look at that and really get to appreciate the characters because of that.
yeah,
So, yeah, for sure. I want to
yeah,
actually talk a little bit more about your enjoyment about the franchise as a whole.
mm,
Again, you first got into Bang Dream because of the game. Of course, you stayed for
ah, yeah.
characters. But as a game as a whole, like, do you still play it relatively often, or do you have any
Oh
involvement
yeah,
with the game still?
yeah. I do. I play it pretty regularly. Not kind of at the moment because I just got a little bit busy. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally budgeting for like a small business I'm starting up. With like IRL things just getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I did college for a bit, took another year off, but I still play it pretty often. I'm gonna be helping one of my friends in the Japanese community, T10, RAISE A. So
Hmm.
I'm just really, yeah, I'm really more engaged in like the Japanese sort of tiering community, sort of, just via
Hmm.
my friend. But I still play it a lot. I still try to get all perfects on on all experts. I'm still trying to till this day. I do play it quite a lot because I do love me an anime tappy tappy game at the end of the day.
For sure, for sure. If you don't mind me asking, how far are you on that goal to all perfect every song?
Oh God, God, I let let's move on. But literally though, like, oh, I still have there's some songs that have just been like Shakunetsu Bonfire has been killing me. It's literally like these like the sliders at the end of Shakunetsu have been killing me. It's like because there's like a little mini like spam and then you gotta hold and it's just too quick for me and I always just miss it. But other than that, I'm literally so close. One day I'll do it. One day.
Hopefully, one day you'll get it for sure.
One day.
It's a big goal, and again, tappity tap games are sometimes not easy. So hopefully things will go well for you there. Yeah,
Me,
yeah.
me and my silly little goals.
Another thing that obviously the game and the franchise is so unique. Of course, it's not just the characters, not just the gameplay,
Mhm.
but also I think one thing that I think you and me both really enjoy about the franchise is, of course,
Yeah.
the seiyuus, because the
Yeah.
seiyuus make a very big part of building the character, and for a lot of
Mm,
them when they perform live they are sort of representing their characters.
yeah.
Kaia, who would you say are your some of your favorite seiyus or voice actresses
Oh,
in the
God.
franchise?
Oh, we all know where this is going. Big fan of Sumi. Big fan of Sumi. I watch her Nico Doggo. Is Nico Doggo even called Nico Doggo anymore? Nico show.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been using Nico Doggo since the dawn of time. I watch her Nico show religiously. I rewatch it. You pay the £3 a month.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah. Uh, Ryochi as well. Big fan of Radio Rai as well.
Hmm.
Um, I've watched that a lot. I think I've listened to every episode. This sounds so sad, but I just love Resistance Seiyus in general. Shout out to Rachel. Just shout out to Rachel is all I've got to say.
So
Big
true.
fan. Big fan. Honestly, Rachel could just like stand on the stage, hit a C note, walk off, and I'd be like, so true, Queen. Speak your truth.
I
um,
totally agree. Rachel's voice is angelic. I love it.
oh my God, Rachel. She's she's a lovely woman. I'm sure I'm the person to talk about saying as there because like I will literally just like ramble about women for an hour. Of course I will. Look at my profile picture in this call. I'm like look at this. I've got the like
Kaya, did you see the recent short in the Bandori official YouTube channel, the Japanese version? There's like a short of Tsumu Tsumu and
yeah
Ryochi doing the Shakunetsu bonfire like mini dance.
yeah. Oh, it's so. I literally like my friend showed it me. My friend screen recorded it. Oh, can I speak? Screen recorded it from Instagram because I was a person on Instagram, but I'm not on Instagram.
Hmm.
And like all the comments were just like, yes. And I'm like, yes, it's so true. Me too. I relate to that. It's so cute. Yeah, big fan of women.
So
Big
true.
women fan.
Kaya, have you again have you met any of the seiyus in person yet, or is that like definitely one of your goals to meet one of
One of my
these
goals.
individuals one day?
One of my goals. My friend went to Sumu's fan signing. She did a merch collab
Hmm.
um with Vanguard. I want to say it was like a book publishing company. It's the same company that's done a collab with Ryochi.
Hmm.
So like whatever company that is. And she went to that and I've never been more jealous in my entire life. But yeah, but it's one of my goals to just meet any of them, or at least attend a Bandori live because
Hmm.
I was had my heart set on going this year to ninth.
Hmm.
COVID, so I
Yeah.
can't go.
Yeah.
Hopefully 10th live. Me and a couple of friends have made a pact that we were determined to go to 10th live together. Me and a bunch of prior stannies. One of which has literally dyed her hair pink and blue.
Hmm.
So she's dedicated, and I'm like, well, I may as well dye my hair pink and blue too and go to 10th live.
Hmm.
So shout out to Ryochi, who's gonna have to deal with like a small group of like women at the front, all very like loud Pario stands with like pink and blue hair.
Well, let's hope that you're able to get those get the tickets to
Oh
like be like
please,
right in front of her, right? Because some of the
please.
some of the tickets again, you could be on the other side or way in the back, so
Mm,
that would be obviously a bit
yeah,
unfortunate. But hopefully, here's hoping when
yeah.
the the world
Improving.
sort of settles down, you'll be able to get that going next year, and yeah, 10th Live will definitely be a
Yeah.
blast.
Oh yeah, I think just being in that concert because like I know a lot of lots of groups of people who go there and they're all super cool. Lots of LGBT my
Hmm.
peoples. We all flock there together and we'll meet, and that's gonna be great.
Yeah,
Really just experiencing that would be pretty fun,
yeah.
and like seeing Raz live. So
Hmm. Hmm.
wherever I sit, I'd just be grateful to be there.
For sure, for sure. Definitely speaking from personal experience as well. One of the main things I personally enjoy about the franchise, of course, as well, are the seiyuus and the live performances. I did personally have
Oh yeah.
the the privilege and to be able to at
Mm.
least see Roselia, see RAISE A SUILEN minus Tsumu, in person.
Oh
It
yeah.
was a really good time. Obviously, I wanted to see more, but of course, the world happened, and the world's events
Mm.
happened. So again, that's something I definitely hope that I'll be able to relive one day as well. Maybe they'll go visit. Maybe I'll visit Japan when they're there, or maybe they'll come over to North America. We'll see how things go. Yeah, I also this also
Yeah.
kind of goes into the point of being in Europe, right? I know there's a very vocal
Yeah.
group of passionate fans in Europe, but if unfortunately, just don't get the love that they deserve,
No.
so.
No, for realsies. Like honestly, I think the Bang Dream Global Store being called the Global Store, but it costs like 50 solid British pounds to ship like a set of Tim badges to Europe. That just says a lot about like Bushido and their attitudes towards like Europe.
Yeah, yeah. Even shipping, again, they're situated in America, and I'm in Canada, and even there's like shipping
Mm.
between America to Canada, and those prices are pretty ridiculous too. I don't know. It's
Oh God, yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah. Like I saw, it's just literally like if you don't live in America, then I guess you're not global enough for us,
yeah.
Bushido Global.
Yeah,
God.
yeah. I definitely hope I do have a few people I know who are in Europe, and I do think that they do
Mm.
deserve a lot more love from Bushiroad. Hopefully, one day they'll be able to maybe take the opportunity to at least give y'all some opportunities to either like watch some of the movies, right? Some of the animated movies, or
Mm.
have some of the seiyus visit as well, and do some performances there.
Yeah,
I think that would be
like
very, very
literally,
good.
yeah, like they could literally just mail us all personally just a photograph of Razor Slim Sayers, and we'd be like, yeah, this is fine. You've acknowledged that we're here.
Yep, for
But God,
sure,
like,
for
don't
sure.
even get me started about the movies. Like, my first glimpse of the movie was, I think, because you were streaming the movies right
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a server because it was like late and I just sort of like was in this blacked out state. And then and then Alex, shout out to Alex Nico Neck, wait, shout out
yeah.
to Alex Nico Neck on Twitter. Follow him. Follow. Yeah, he was like, yo, they're playing Raz. And I was like, my brain just went into caveman mode and I watched a very, very crunchy, compressed clip of Beautiful Birthday. being streamed from the server, and I was like, this is enough. And then I didn't watch the movie for like another month.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. It was probably really crunchy because of being half a world
Oh
away, but
yeah, my Wi-Fi had been awful that week as well. Like combined with like the distance of the streaming,
Mhm.
and like yeah, but I got it. I got those 3 pixels, that Minecraft rendition of Beautiful Birthday, and I was like, yes, I will now make 5 tweets about this.
I love it. I love it. Well, again, Kaya, again, the franchise as a whole, it's still going very strong.
Mm,
Being about 5 years old now, and it's still going strong. And
okay.
we were definitely looking forward to seeing even more developments as to come. Is there
Mm.
anything that you personally would like to see in the future when it comes to anything about the franchise, either about maybe the game
Ooh,
itself or anything
yeah.
else?
My instinct goes towards character development,
Hmm.
and that character development thought then goes into I want these ships to become canon. Listen, shout out to Kasumi. I keep saying shout out because I think it's funny. But Kasumi and Arisa, Arisa has been pining for Kasumi since God, like the original beta manga. Please make Kasu Ari canon. This is if they please like Kasu Ari and Yukilisa are like ships. I started off being like, please, I love them, sweetie pies, cuties, and now I'm just like, please, God, make them canon. I do not want to sit through another overworld interaction where Lisa's like, hi, Yukina, come out to lunch with me, and Yukina's like, yes, I will invite the rest of Roselia. If I have to sit through another one of those interactions, I'm gonna write to craft egg myself. But yeah, big yeah, there's a couple of like just character development things I'd like to see aside from like come on, man, we've had, Akko and Vinko have that little moment where they're like, oh my god, Rin Rin, I love you. And we Parachu are doing whatever they're doing. So I'm like, come on, we can do a speed run. We can do it. We can do a
Speed run.
makeshift canon speed run. I just think it'd be really cute. You know, um, goofiness aside, there's some characters I'd kind of like some more like some cool development moments for. I'd love to
Mhm.
see some more stuff with Eve.
Mhm.
I want Eve to have some more time to shine because I do think she's more of a fleshed out character than people think. But then again, the people who don't think that don't read the story.
Fair,
Um,
fair.
yeah. Some more moments with Eve. I'd love to see Muskie getting some development, even though I mean, she's a new character, but like Hario has just Hario's had so much going on in comparison.
Mhm.
So I'd like some more love for Muskie. Get Muskie some things going on in her life. Like maybe they could writing wise they could delve more into her the themes of her being like, oh my god, I have friends for the first time. That'd be cute.
Mhm.
Um, what else? Mine's gone blank when it comes to writing, even though I can rumble about it in a Discord server for like 20 minutes straight. I just no, someone asked me a question about this, and I was like,
Mhm.
but God, what else would I like to see in the future? I think more tours, to be fair. I'd like live show tours.
Mhm.
That'd be really neat, but like costly and like Bushido sometimes just looks at Bandori and is like, should we spend money on that? So like the Raseus for a while, like for like a year, the Raseus have been like begging to do like a proper tour rather than their Zep tours, which is just like
Mhm.
a gentle trot around Japan for a little bit, and then they're like, okay, we're done. When they've asked, like literally, Rachel has asked like twice now to like do a Europe tour, and I'm like, yes, we exist. Europe exists. That'd be really cool. And I think Razor Sling could easily be marketed as just like full rock women. Come see them,
So
rather than
true.
the IMAX spec. So like, look, it's a marketing opportunity. Make me the CEO of Bushido. Kidani, I'm coming for you.
I guess
Um,
Kidani, listen up.
yeah, Kidani, listen. I I mentioned his name. I think I've tagged him on Twitter before. That's interesting. I will literally get into um comment on this video now if you want me to call out Kidani on Twitter.
So true, so
Oh
true. Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know if Kodani remembers any of the Bandori characters' names. This isn't me dragging. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Well, I guess one other thing, I guess, just one else, I guess, you've already mentioned quite a few things, character development,
Mm.
tours. I think tours would be a great idea as well. I think
Mm.
one thing that they could do as well, personally, is, maybe we could see university life for some of
Ah,
these characters
oh,
as well.
yeah. That'd be interesting. I think not for a while because I feel like again, not to bring up Big Man Kodani again, but like he did he once was like I would he either said I don't remember he either said like oh I don't want the Bandri girls to age or he said the opposite but then again Kodani doesn't write the game so he just sort of says things and everyone goes okay Kodani whatever and then moves on but I really would like at some point not right now I think like in the future, like maybe like a year or two, to maybe do another like year up in the game universe because I think that'd be really neat.
Mhm.
Like I think because there's a lot of university and like college students in the fan base, at least in the
Mhm.
Japanese, I think in the English as well. Of
Mhm.
course in the English as well. Like with me, I'm a college student.
Mhm.
I think it'd be neat. Like it just adds that like more relatability because like
Sure.
even though all the characters are like teenage girls, um, they all present really relatable themes, but I feel like that can, stop at an extent because they're all just like goofy teenagers.
Mhm.
Um, but I think university life and documenting that'd be really cool. Like goofy dorm shenanigans are always fun event stories. Adapting to like because like they'd have to adapt to some new like levels of studying and also bands. Roselia would get into some hijinks to say the least because they're Roselia. I just think it's really cool concept and like there's be a lot of things like there's just like a lot of opportunities there for like event stories like character growth. Get Pari out of Kamigawa, please get her out of that. Oh wait, she's a second year middle school. God, she'd still be in there. Get Patio out of there anyway.
She's gonna
My
take a
plan. This
while
is my.
there.
She's like 3 years old. Like she's like an infant. God, Chichi would be graduating high school. This 14-year-old is too smart. This 14-year-old is too smart. It's just making me think about like all the characters and where they'd be. Like, oh my god, Kaoru doing a university course. Like, yeah. what would she what would she study? God.
I wonder. It would
Um
definitely be art, art related, like put like some
mm,
sort of
some theatre thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
something
literature.
theatery.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, something. But I also like the idea of her doing something either like generic, like something you'd expect to do, like something to do with literature or
Mm-hmm.
like performative arts. But I also wanted to do something like I find it really funny for her to do something completely just unexpected. Like I want her to study veterinary science.
Oh wow.
Just that's funny.
That would be
Or like
quite different.
psychology.
Yeah, that would be very
Yeah.
different, but it would be really interesting. Again, it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see if they do pursue that path, like what kind of
Mm.
direction they'll go in terms of
Yeah.
the story writing. So
Mm.
yeah,
It would be a bit goofy.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. I'm just like I just think like, oh, in a year's time maybe Patio would be out of Kamogawa, the old nunnery. But
Oh
no,
yeah,
she'd still be there.
yeah,
God, get her out of there.
yeah.
Patio's smart. Patio's like smart, really smart. She's like a good, honest student. She'd be able to skip a year and then she could go up to her parents being like, oh, my good friend Chio-chan is all the way in Tokyo and studying at cool schools. I could go study at a cool school there too. And then she can go off there, she can study in Tokyo, live with her girlfriend, mental health flourishing, depression cured, and everybody's happy.
Well,
Hire me for the writing team.
there's your maybe your next future project to
My
work on.
next fanfiction.
In terms of
I would write about that.
yeah, we'll definitely talk a little bit more about your your creative side in just a bit. Just a reminder that all special guests featured in the RePHIL studio can be found in the Unga Academy Discord server. Links in the description below. Join our great community who is very passionate about Bang Dream, tiering, and many other interests. And we have weekly community events as well as contests for people to complete through challenges. Of course, all Filler Nation members can access the podcast live when they're recording in this Discord server as well. So we hope to see you there. For our frequent podcast listeners, right? A lot of the times, many of the special guests I've been inviting are, related to those in the community in terms of the game, in terms of tiering. But of course, Bang Dream as a whole, as a community, it is a very, very big, diverse community. There's a lot of people with a lot of different ways that they're heavily involved in the franchise, right? A lot of them are just just part of the game, really entirely. Some are maybe some of the craziest seiyuu fans I've ever seen, right? They're like super into that. Of course, there's your side as well with the fanfic, the creative writing. There's like the translation. So there's a lot of stuff in the creative writing and in the creative side. I think one thing, Kaia, you're very also passionate about, and it is a very big part of the Bandori community as well as the LGBTQ community as well. You've talked about them already, very briefly. But to you, what makes what makes this community so special for you, and just in general, what things you've done for them to be able to help represent their voices?
This is an interesting question. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't incredibly I don't really engage with the English fan base too much at all. Again, I do just honestly post and then dip. That old technique. But however, I did for like a long period of time, like a good couple of months, or maybe like since I started my Bandori account. I saw how like a lot of people were sort of like, how do I explain it? Like sort of out of the loop with like Bandori and Bandori's South Asian lesbian characters, because they're probably so used to like Western media and Western media representation. And also there's so much like cultural references in Bandori that, somebody who's not used to that or didn't grow up in that doesn't get. Especially Patio, like that is a really big example because so much of her story is rooted in like Japanese societal culture and things like that. So like a lot of people didn't really get it. They'd be like, "Oh, she just wants to. Why does she want to dress cute? Why are there lilies around her and Chuchu in this manga page?" So I was like, "Well, I got the knowledge. I may as well share that." So a while ago now, like a couple of months ago, I've got no concept of time. I have time. Why don't ask me about frames of time? But I decided because like a lot of more people through things I was saying were realizing like, oh wait, this character has like romantic attraction to like other girls in the show. It's pretty cool. And I was like, but there's more. So I decided to bit by bit, like in a big thread. We've also a lot of people have seen it. It's got like 1,000 likes now, which is insane. I'm very grateful for that. But I explained Pario's story arc and how it depicts a very, unfortunately, very common occurrence with like young girls in that environment who are often like lesbian, and but they're growing up in this environment that's like very. I think a lot of cultures are like this, but Japanese in particular, it's very like you're like this because you are a girl, be like this, and it's very, very repressive. As well, in more of like the rural area, like where Pario is from. So I describe that and I break it down from things as subtle as how Hario is in Kamigawa is depicted as having black hair that's straight, the blunt cut bangs, shapeless uniform, that sort of thing. And how in Tokyo with Chichu and Raz, she will dye this like perfect ideal girl hair all these like wild like pastel colors and stuff,
Hmm.
which is, a very, very subtle thing about her expressing herself, defying those standards and stuff like that. I broke everything down from like things like that to the more on the nose stuff. Like, yeah, I've spoken about it again because I don't shut up about pastel fan road, but her saying directly that she promises herself that she's going to give shape to her love someday. And when she's reunited with Chichu on the bridge, I don't know how well ENdori translated this because I look at ENdori translations and I go, okay, and then I move on with my life.
Hmm.
But when she reunites with Chichu on the bridge, when she realizes their whole little falling out was just like this pile up of misunderstandings, and she realized that she doesn't have to go back to this life of conformity.
Hmm.
She tells Chichu, and Chuchu's being all embarrassed, being like, "Oh, she's not going to be ashamed of this anymore." I explained all that sort of stuff, and I put a big thread, including a bunch of like resources to experiences of AFAB and women in Japan growing up, and even academic stuff. I posted all that, and oh my god, I was so nervous to do it originally because I'd had a really bad experience in the fanbase. I'd
Hmm.
had a lot of people who weren't Japanese nor Slavic being like, "No, you're wrong. Why is your college not teaching you about culture?" and stuff like that, even though like, hey, these are my experiences. So I was nervous as hell posting that. And I was like, well, it'll make like kids, it's like a lot of kids relate to Cairo.
Hmm.
It'll make them happy, so it's fine. And I'll just, ignore as much as it like kind of stings seeing people being like, oh, well, I know more about your experiences even though I have not experienced them. So I do my little thing, I explain, and it like literally blows up. And I was like, it's got over 800 likes. It means I'm gonna get somebody telling me I am wrong. But no, I've not had a drop of hate on that thread. And the replies and the quote retweets and the support I got on it, it was mostly a bunch of people being like, thank you for explaining this.
Hmm.
This is really important to me. And being like, oh my god, I relate to this character so much. Thank you for explaining this. And oh my god, I'm gonna get so sentimental. But I have run an account, Daily Parrot. No, Daily Parrot 2 is another account I co-run. I co-run too many accounts. I run an account. It's like back when Bandori positivity accounts were a
Hmm.
thing, and then they all turned into roleplay accounts. It got a little bit weird, but I stuck around, and I'm true to my craft. And I have a Parrot Loves You account, and I'm not gonna be too specific because it was like a kid who DM'd me this, and I think a lot of it was personal,
Hmm.
but literally just DM like all this stuff about like how Pario's story and seeing it in such a positive light has made them feel confident in themselves because they relate to that experience. And then like they were saying how like they still feel like they can't be themselves in their current environment. But this like little anime girl has like made them like someday they're gonna find people they can be around. Like Alpario has RAISE A SUILEN and Shichu, and this kid was like, one day that's going to be me. And I'm going to promise myself that. And I'm going to be confident in who I am, at least online or with like close friends, I mean. And I was like, mess. I was an
Hmm.
absolute mess after that. I was just like, oh my God. And it's just like seeing a character I would have really loved as a kid that young. Um, that had that influence on, kids and being like, all these like baby gays just have this character in like a really mainstream franchise. And it's not like a character in like a Yuri game where the target audience is just like sapphic kids. Like and like Letters from the Rainy Day, for example, which Ryochi also voices in, shout out to Ryochi. Um where it's just like targeted at that niche demographic. Bandori's marketing is purposely for everybody. Like they have adverts where like the bands are playing for kids in schools, but also that goofy little advert where it's like, check out our writing. Even this grown man likes it. That sort of thing. And it's just really cool. It's just so cool having a character like this in a franchise so broad. Um and yeah, and it's just like I've even forgotten the original question. I've gone on such a tangent. But it's just like it's just God getting that DM from that kid, this big like pirate. It was like such a big pirate. I just didn't want to, pull out the kid personally because I think a lot of it was quite personal about, and they
Yeah.
were asking for advice as well. But it's just seeing that. And
Mhm.
oh my God, I was a mess. I was a complete mess all day because I was just like, I'm just so happy for that kid and that they feel represented.
Mhm.
And that's like, and it's like such an honor to be able to like explain these sort of things for a an
Mhm.
audience who's unfamiliar with it, and have a lot of people tell me like thank you for explaining this because now I'm super attached to this character and I love her loads and she's
Mhm.
super important.
For sure. For
And
sure.
I was pretty cool until yeah, I think I like her. She's
Yeah.
neat. She's neat.
Well, Kaya, I think you basically you did answer my question, the big question in the beginning.
Yay!
But yeah, I just wanted again when the last statement you mentioned, I think it is very important. Like again, because the community
Mm,
is so diverse and so broad,
yeah.
and again, the franchise as a whole really fits and really tailors pretty much to anyone. But there's
Oh,
definitely parts of the
exactly.
community where maybe we aren't as understanding. You know, I myself included, I'm probably in like the complete, almost the opposite spectrum of you know where many of things are. But being able to understand, you know, from your perspective as someone in this
Mm,
community, it's really the side of the community. It's really appreciated. And again, that's something I want hopefully our listeners to also understand and really get to appreciate as well, right? That there's many different sides of how we look at this
mm,
franchise, and there's a lot of aspects where we could definitely learn from each other. So, again, great to share that story. It's a very, indeed, a very amazing story to hear. You know how
yeah.
someone was able to
Thank
really
you.
change. You know, they got their lives changed because of that. So it's for the better. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so it's just so wild to think about. And it is really it really is like it's just so it sounds so weird being like it's such an honor to talk about an anime girl on Twitter.com, but it really it just really reminds you how like important it is to like share these sort of things with other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. Well, one more thing I do want to talk about, of course, is just your
Yeah.
creative side, of course, right? The fact that you've written
Yeah.
many fan fictions on AO3.
Yeah.
You've done a little bit of translations as well. So maybe we'll talk
Oh
a few
God, yeah,
about your projects.
translations.
You know, first, maybe first talk
Oh
about
yeah.
your fanfics and you know what kind of started this journey and this side of the creative
Oh,
side and you know what how has it turned out since.
um, fiction. I actually started out I started out writing Vocaloid stuff. Of course I did. Um this is gonna be so odd. Started off writing Hatsune Miku and Kagumine Len fanfiction, which is like shocker of the year. But yeah, and then moved I like moved on to like obviously like Bandori other stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I think I like I'm trying to think of a frame in my head. Yeah, so it's just like posted Vocaloid stuff, Blur, and then it was like Bandori stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I started writing a lot of like Miku and like Len stuff for a bit because like some people on Discord wanted it and I didn't see any like good content.
Mhm.
So yeah, I thought it was cute, so I wrote it, I guess. Um, and then something happened and I just decided to like maybe I'll write some like parody stuff. Like I wrote like one age like last year
Mhm.
and I don't remember if it did very well or whatever. But like that happened. I don't remember writing it at all. I think I just sort of thought it'd be fun.
Mhm.
So that posted that, and then I thought like, hey, I got another cute idea. I'll write that out, and I did. And then God, it's like how did we get here to like 23 fics that were just about RAISE A SUILEN and like Karachu and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it literally just sort of happened out of nowhere, and I kept doing it because like I was like I think I still am like the only like active RAISE A SUILEN writer in the community.
Mhm.
Um, so like that lack of content made me just go like, oh well, I'll post my own, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then obviously there was like the themes in like Kaia was like manga arc, especially because at the time there was only Kaia's manga arc to go off of. This was like pre-game material, and
Mhm.
I thought like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if these were elaborated on for wise words at the time? God. This was before like even Bandori 1 came to end properly. It was like we're still waiting on part 2 where they like God Bandori 1 chapter 20. Shout out to that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really deep. And so before all that happened, so I was like, okay, maybe I'll elaborate on these themes because there's a lot here
Hmm.
that would like I think people would be interested in seeing, or just like this often doesn't thing for me to write about because you know. So yeah, I did. I think it was the fic. I've forgotten the title of it. Glad you're here. I wrote that. I posted it, and then it got so much attention, and I got overwhelmed. But oh yeah, I think it's got over like 100 kudos now, which is like measly when you think about like the biggest Bandori fic has like over 1,000, but 100 kudos for a one-shot fanfiction where it's just like one chapter, that's it, and it was written like a year ago. Like I haven't. I said I'd rewrite it a while ago, but I still haven't. And that was sort of like, oh, people really enjoy. People love Patio,
Hmm.
and people really like seeing Patio as like pre-existing themes in the manga, like what and now the game explored even further. So why not keep writing about that? And that's where we are now. And now I have like 5 AO3 drafts.
More projects in the works for sure. Um,
God, there's so many more.
well, again, Kai, the amount of content that you've created for fanfics certainly very great to see. For maybe for those who are, because you've done quite a lot now, for those who are maybe in a bit of
Mm,
a maybe writer's block, or maybe they're not really quite into it. I know for personally, I'm not like
yeah,
too elegant with words myself, but when it comes to like
yeah.
giving maybe I don't know advice or anything that for those who might be looking into writing some writing content, writing what they want, like, what was some advice that you might want to give to said people?
Honestly, if you have like a thick idea and you're like so many times, somebody like in Discord servers I'm in
Hmm.
will be like, "Oh, I really want to write this fic. I have this idea for this fanfic," and they'll tell it me, and it's like either really cute or like it was such a good idea. Like, um, I can't think of an example right now because I don't really want to single anybody out,
Yeah.
but and they'll just be telling me these ideas, and they're like really good or like really cute concepts or something. They'll be like so enjoyable to read. But then they'll hit me with like, oh, but I'm not good at writing, so I'm not gonna do it. Or like, I'll take me ages to write, and it's just like, no, write that fanfic. My advice is, in general, write that fanfic. I did not go to college for literacy, English like writing.
Hmm.
I went to college for animal cat. I'm, I'm getting a degree in looking at and learning how to handle iguanas. I have not done a writing class since high school, which is we graduate high school in the UK at 16.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so like you don't need that fancy writing class. You don't need to, you know, English doesn't need to be your first language. Look at me go. Uh, like another like I'm somehow putting sentences together on AO3.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just like you don't need to be like a literary genius or like 7 degrees in writing to post your little silly little anime girl fanfiction on AO3. Like if you have ideas that you really want to write about or a concept that seems fun or a story you want to tell, games you want to share, write them. And that's my advice. You just need to like literally write them. And like
Sure.
honestly, the fics that I find most enjoyable to read aren't the really like wordy things
Mhm.
or like something that's like novel worthy, but just writing where you can tell the author has had fun writing them, or
Mhm.
they've had this idea in their mind, and you can tell in their writing, no matter how good the author is. Can I even pronounce words right now? Look at me, I can't pronounce author apparently, and I've posted 23 character fics.
Mhm. For
So
sure.
it's just like fics that are the most fun to read are the ones where you can tell that the author has had fun writing them. So just post that fic. That is my word. That's my single word of advice.
For
Um,
sure.
like maybe get beta readers if you're unsure about your writing. But
Mhm.
I have beta readers for my fic. I post that at 1 a.m. and I go to sleep and I fix typos in the morning.
Yep,
This is
yep.
this is how real truthers do it. But yeah, like unless you're like really into quality, into like putting out quality, super quality. That sounds like I'm saying my work isn't quality content. Uh, Debatable. But yeah, literally just post that fic is my advice. Post that fic. If you're having fun writing it, post it, do it. No matter how long or short it is, do
Yeah.
it. Somebody will have fun reading it, and that somebody's probably going to be me if it's to do with RAISE A SUILEN.
Again, Kaya, advice is
Mm,
definitely applicable not only to writing, but in many things in life in
mm.
general, right? Even as
Yeah.
specific as like the tiering that we usually talk about in this podcast, right? You
Yeah.
don't know if you're able to do
Mm,
it unless you try it, and of course it applies to
exactly.
many other things in life as well. All right, just take the
Yeah.
chance, challenge yourself, see what you get, and I think once you kind of get the hang of things, you'll definitely improve and get better
Mm,
and really
yeah,
be more
exactly.
confident of yourself. Yeah.
Come to me for life advice.
Yep, yep. And lastly, of course, being Japanese yourself, you've also helped with a lot of
Mm.
translations. I've known that you did like a really crazy project of translating what was it called,
Um,
Feel Heartbeat, I think, or Feel Heat Beat,
Guilty.
the Raise a Suilin summer event in like a
Oh
day.
boy. Oh my god, a day in like 3 hours. It was awful. Why did I do
Well, just maybe we could briefly talk about a bit about your,
that?
how much you've done in translating, and also any future things that you plan to do for translating.
Well, Feel Heat Beat was very interesting because I did it on a whim because
Hmm.
ages on Twitter I'd be like, hey guys, remember when Perry and Chichi did this? And a bunch of people would be like, no, 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 Kaya, we can't speak Japanese. We don't remember this. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And then I did this for like since August, and I'd be like, I think when Feel Heat Beat dropped and I read the event story, I did do a brief summary of Perry and Chichi's conversation
Hmm.
because it was like the entire event is just summer funsies, tee hee, my swimsuit's so cute. Oh my god, yours too, bestie. And Masky just bullying Choo Choo a little bit too far. And then in the middle, there's just at the end, they just have this really, really deep conversation. If you think a bit too hard about the implications, it gets a little bit sad, but we won't think about that today.
Hmm.
So I just thought it was a really important conversation for the characters because it really showed you how much they've grown
Hmm.
both individually because they talk about how they've changed since knowing each other,
Hmm.
but also how close they are now. Close is an understatement, but you know what I mean. So I thought that was
Hmm.
important to get out because it's an important character thing. So I posted that and it was like cool because people understood it, but they didn't really have anything more than that to read. And there's some couple important moments in the card episodes as well. So I was just like sitting around being like, oh, somebody will translate it at some point. And then I saw, I'm being as vague as I can. I saw this sort of like mini surge of just people who don't speak Japanese just whizzing their story pages through RePHIL and being like, here you go guys, here's the translation. And I was just like, maybe let's not feed that to the English Bandori fanbase. And then nobody just translated Feel He Beat at all. Not even a cheeky little DeepL translate Here You Go, guys. So I was just like, oh, there's no use translating this. And then the other day, um, I was just having some good old parachute brain rot because I was just thinking about like I've never seen like um a lesbian couple like who are just 14 and so well developed and so well written as two baby 14-year-olds in their first relationship. And there's a lot of like really important things that they showcase, like how patio, because Chichi has like um it's either like heavily implied ADHD or at least misophonia, the noise processing disorder. So Patio has like learned things to help keep her comfy, especially in Feel Heat Beat where she's distressed by the noise of the crowd. And Patio literally is so good at like as a 14-year-old being like, yes, I understand this completely and I'll offer really good support. I just think it's a cute thing to depict.
Mhm.
And there was just all these little things, like important parity things scattered throughout the story, and I was like, I need to translate this. People need to see this. So I did. I did it for 3 hours in one evening. And I felt like my brain was leaking out of my ear. The hardest thing isn't like translating itself because I will read a sentence in Japanese and be like, oh, this makes sense. Like in my brain, I'll be like, oh yes, this. But then it's like, okay, how do we say this in English? And which is a weird thing to explain. So maybe somebody who isn't bilingual or didn't speak multiple languages, no matter like how long you've spoken languages. But it's just a bizarre thing, and it really makes your brain feel like it's melting, especially when you're doing it so often.
Mhm.
And like, some sentences and phrases are pretty easy. You're like, this means this and this means that. But then there's like a lot of phrases in Japanese that just don't directly translate, and those are a nightmare sometimes. Like, for
Mhm.
example, if I directly translated Ray asking Doka if she wanted to try some of the shaved ice, that directly translated would be, "Hey Doka, mouth." Obviously, that does not make any sense in English. So it's like, phrasing that, and it's just, and I advertise the fact that I have ADHD a lot, and I think when you're already bad at focusing and bad at processing words 200 at once was a bit of a nightmare. But then at the end of at the end of the dawn of the second day, if you will, I managed to get it out there and I managed to translate it. And I did it. I don't know how. I like went a bit insane on Discord. I was like, I listened to like K-pop girl groups for the first time in my entire life while
Oh no.
translating it because I just let my Spotify do whatever. It was going insane. So I did it.
Oh boy.
Um, oh boy, indeed. I did that. Yeah, and I am planning to translate every single card episode, which is 10 episodes, because, 5 characters times that's basic math, so I'm explaining it.
Hmm.
So I translated Pario's card episode, which is pretty cringe, because Pario was like, oh, I'm going to put Chichi-sama in a swimsuit, and it makes me want to gag. She's so cringe. The slash positive. She's cringe. And she's just like, because the entire thing is just how, like, Pario's being like, oh my god, I'm going to put my girlfriend in a little outfit. It's going to be so cool. And literally, there's this one scene where Pario just like sprints off to get all these, like, she just grabs all these fistfuls of like swimsuits, like a little animal, and while she's gone doing that, and she's just like running after her, being like, "Oh no!" Uh, like Muskie and Ray are just having this like little banter, being like, "Wow, Pario's eager about that, haha, funny." And Rocco's just like, "Yeah, Pario's so gay." I just found it so funny. And I had to translate that as well. So I'm like, but then there's other important episodes, like Masti talking about how she's happy to have friends now, and another episode of Parent Should You Have a Conversation. So this is the whole I've done for myself. I'm just in translation hell at the moment. I also am working on a small business with my IRL friend,
Mhm.
I'm having to budget for, and I have 5 drafts on it.
Oh.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah, well, again, all the best in those future
Thank
projects as well,
you.
Kaya, for sure. I
Oh,
think
thank
you've also
you.
mentioned, I think you're also going to eventually translate RAISE A SUILEN.We 2 when
Yeah.
that comes out.
Uh-huh.
Maybe not in like one go like what you did earlier, but
No.
but
God,
yeah.
no. I'm gonna have to have my co-mod of Daily Power to help me. Megu. Shout out to Megu. She's not on Twitter.
Mhm.
But she's gonna at least help me do like a bulk of it. She's not as confident in her English.
Mhm.
So I'm like, literally any help. I'm just like, Megu, any help. So, the plan is she's also going to translate quite a bulk of it, just like directly and a little bit messily, and then I'll just fine tune that and try and make things make sense in English. Um, but I'm sure her English is better than she says. But
Mhm.
fun story too, it will happen. Not in 2 days,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
will happen. Yeah, please help me. And if anybody's watching this, please help me with that.
Yeah,
This is
I
a
guess
call for help.
if you are maybe proficient in
Mm.
translating as someone who's bilingual myself, I definitely understand that struggle when you're like, I understand in one language, but it's like almost
Yeah.
impossible to like change it to another language.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
bad.
it's not easy. So again, any help
Mhm.
I guess would be very appreciated. Bandstory 2 for Raise a
Please.
Suilin is coming out in December, so which is next
Mhm.
month. So definitely
Oh,
look forward to that. Yeah.
yeah.
It's already confirmed. It's December, so yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
probably
exciting.
December 10th because like I think somebody said to me, and because I got such a bad concept of time, anybody could tell us, anybody could say anything to me. But apparently, as a pattern of a lot of band stories come out on the 10th. Is that true?
Mm. I think so. I think so. And they mentioned, I think in the calendar graphic, it was going to be mid-December that Raise a Suilin was coming out. So I think that
Honestly,
lines up.
like yeah. But then again, they said Band Story 1 Part 2 for August. We waited the entirety of August, and then at the end of August, I was like, August 31st. But if they do
Yeah,
that for yeah.
we'll see.
If they do that for Band Story 2, I'll kill.
We need it earlier, so we'll see.
Oh,
Hopefully, fingers
please.
crossed.
Mm,
Fingers
I'm,
crossed.
I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah. Well, Kaya, this has been a great pleasure having you in the studio today to share about your experiences, your stories of all the topics we've talked about today. Is there
Mm.
anything else you would like to say in terms of final words and other shout outs, like where to find you in terms of like your whereabouts?
Oh yeah. Um, Shout out to Alex Nico Nico Next on Twitter. He's cool. Talks about Hina. I don't know if you know Hina. She's pretty interesting. On a real note. Parachiyo on Twitter. Parachiyo on AO3. Um, there's not much about me to talk about. So I'm just like, yeah, read my fanfics. I have 5 in the works. I'll be posting them real soon, I swear. I
Yeah.
swear I'll be posting I literally, yeah, 5 fanfics. They're gonna be coming soon. Read them if you like Razor Sullen. Read them if you hate Razor Sullen. Maybe you'll like Razor Sullen after this.
Yeah, for sure, for
Probably not.
sure. I'm sure people who
Yeah.
who don't like Razor Sealant wouldn't
Mm.
actually be, go out of the way. Or I don't think there's any Razor Sealant haters out there to begin with. Let's be honest. I think
Oh yeah,
it's
probably not. But you
probably
know,
a very
read my
very rare
fanfics.
breed.
Yeah, and if there are any Razor Sullen haters out there, I'll sniff them out and hunt them down. That's the joke. Please.
Well, again, all of the links and such as well, I'll share them in the
Mm.
description of this video as well. So again, you can follow Kaia on Twitter and AO3 for sure. And this will conclude today's episode of the RePHIL Studio. So again, all of our special guests are also featured in the Young Academy Discord server as well. You could feel free to join in the server below, linked below as well. And thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. So the set has been complete. Get your cans ready as we will refill in the next set. But until then, thank you all again for listening, and we will see you all in the next episode. Take care, everyone, and bye-bye.